Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share insights on what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fumey, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. On today's show, I have the division president of New York Fries, Dave Colebrook. Dave, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, welcome. So, New York Fries, share a little bit on what the company is and the origin of how it got started.
Yeah, so what the company is we literally serve the world's best loaded fries, fresh cut fries, and hot dogs anywhere you will find. And how it got started was actually a fantastic story. So an entrepreneur, Jay Gold, saw it actually on South Street Pier in New York and thought, man, this would work really well in Canada, and brought it up to Canada and actually paid the gentleman who owned just a little kiosk on that South Street Pier a royalty. And so he actually started to build them in Canada and started to see a lot of success, and actually went back down and bought the brand from the gentleman. He did have the trademark, but instead of just knocking it off and calling it Bronx Fries or South Street Fries, he kept the brand name New York Fries. And then it proliferated from there, and we're literally in every mall across Canada, and a famous brand that any Canadian who spent any time in any malls would know New York Fries and loves the brand. And we're also been in the UAE for 20 years and are just starting to expand here in the US and bring the brand back down to its origins in New York, and then expanding from there.
How funny is that the brand gets started in South Street Seaport in Manhattan in 1983. Yeah, there are no locations in New York all this time, and everything's in Canada. Well known in Canada. There's, what do you have? About 115 locations in Canada. 95 are franchise, right? About 20 20 are company-owned locations. And now you guys are getting back into franchising here, re-emerging here in the United States.
Exactly. Yeah, the prodigal son is coming home. So is the way that I like to think about it.
All right. Well, first of all, I would have liked to have been able to judge whether these are the world's greatest fries, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I think you're based out of Florida, so we are actually in talks with some people down there. So hopefully you'll get to try some in Florida in the coming months here.
Well, if not, my old stomping grounds, you mentioned that actually in New York, you're going to be in two of the most popular malls in Long Island, where I basically grew up in both of these malls. So it's incredible that the Smith Haven Mall in Smithtown, New York, and Roosevelt Field Mall, I believe, right, is the other one in Garden City, New York.
Yeah, we opened up in Roosevelt Field a couple months ago. In Smith Haven, we're hoping to get open sort of mid to end of May. And then we have two sites, one in Newport, New Jersey, as well as Menlo Park. So between those two places, and as where we're starting off, which is great.
Wow.
4 great malls.
So this is fascinating that a company such as yours, and I understand you've been the brand president now or division president now for Recipe Unlimited for how long now?
So I've had a bunch of different roles, but I've been in this role for about 3 years.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you guys established this brand so well in Canada for so long. Now that you're bringing it to the U.S., share with me sort of like what was the mindset, like how is this going to be franchised if it's going to be different than how you franchised in Canada?
So probably not too differently. So the great thing about the New York Fries brand and team is we have an amazing core team. So our chief operating officer, Craig, has been with the business for 35 years. Our head of operations has been with the business for 30 years. The head of marketing has been 27. So between the three of them, they have over 70 years of experience on the brand, and they've just continued to build it every year. And so we're part of a large organization, Recipe Unlimited, acquisitor of brands. So we bought that brand and kept the team intact. And so the focus remains the same. And, we know it's the secret to success, which is, focus on operations, focus on delivering an amazing product. If you read the reviews at the malls that we've opened, we've got a 5-star review across all the locations. People are loving the product. And it's all about just that delivery of a fresh hot, crispy fry that just is so amazing. And then you can load it up with all sorts of great stuff like pulled pork and bacon and jalapenos and all sorts of amazing stuff. And obviously you can even try an original Canadian poutine. So we have lots of different flavors that people can load them with. And really it's about just making sure that we deliver on the brand promise. We know that it's a fantastic product. Anyone that tries the product immediately falls in love. And it's just about continuing to go down that road and really focus on quality and guest experience.
So since you're just reemerging now in the States, I'd love to kind of focus here on your franchising experience in the Canadian market. So like, who is your typical franchise owner in Canada of a location? Is it a multi-unit operator, or is it a mom and pop opening single units? What is that? What does your brand look like of your franchise makeup?
I'd say we have a blend, primarily multi-unit operators, people that have sort of 3 to 7 locations, not massive multi-unit operators like you'll see across some other brands. But mainly sort of, I'd say mid-sized multi-unit operators is really the main piece. And it's people looking to be operators, but also looking for an investment, looking to grow, looking to scale. Those are the people that have really found a lot of success in the Canadian market, that have, owned, parts of a city and the malls there within. Really, New York Fries works in really high foot traffic areas. So we do think in the US, there'll be a probability of more locations, where in Canada, it's super hot in the summer and super cold in the winter. So, everyone goes to malls when it's either super hot or super cold, where, places in the US kind of, south of the Dixon line, where you've got kind of nicer weather year round, we do think there's some opportunity for outdoor malls and different situations like that, where you've got really high foot traffic areas.
Yeah. So besides malls, what does another kind of a typical location look like?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a few street front locations in very high foot traffic areas. We just opened up a new one at an outlet mall, an outdoor outlet mall here in Canada. We really see where New York Fries thrives is it's both a snack and a meal. So you can just pick up a small order of fresh cut fries and eat them as you walk, or you can sit down and enjoy sort of a big loaded fry meal, as well as a hot dog or a combo, or however you want to do it. So it thrives in environments where, there's lots of foot traffic, and people are having lots of different occasions. We've had them at amusement parks here in Canada, places like that, where people are looking for a snack and a break, and it's worked really well in malls, because people will eat a meal in a mall, but you'll also have the store staff that have 15-minute break and then come get a fry during their break, or whatever it may be, right? So it's worked where it's this sort of versatile brand.
All right. So what's the secret to the success of making this the world's greatest fry? Is it the oil? Is it the potato? Is it the seasoning? Is it the topping? What makes this thing tick?
It's a great question. And, I'd say it's a proprietary process that we have. So making a great fresh cut fry is actually a long process, from cleaning the potatoes to we cut all the potatoes in-house, to the, multiple stage of frying, and then how long you hold between stages. But the two, I'd say, super key secrets of New York Fries are, one is that we can serve the product in less than 30 seconds based on our process. So although it's this very long process to make a fresh cut fry, when someone orders at the counter, you can immediately provide the product to them through our final stage. So we have very high speed of service, which is super important, particularly in a mall, as everyone's grabbing food and reconvening at their dining establishment of choice. And the other piece is the quality. So fresh cut fries is actually a bit of an art in terms of the potatoes and the sugar levels in the potatoes. So the operational focus that we have around how the potatoes are shipped to store, the sugar levels of the potatoes, and how they're cared for makes a huge difference on the end quality of the product, as well as we actually cook them in high oleic sunflower oil. And nothing else goes in the fryers, nothing else at all. So all we serve out of our fryers is fries. So we actually never throw oil. All we ever do is top up the oil, because the oil, we have a very specific filtration process. So you can always see right to the bottom of our fryers, as well as we never have to throw the oil out. So it's actually, we have quite a few people that eat our product because it's totally gluten-free, as well as, although it's a fry and, people laugh, and I laugh when I say it's a healthy fry, it actually is, it's a non-processed product, right? So it's a potato cooked in high oleic sunflower oil with no trans fats or any other sort of those bad things. So it's actually, although a high fat food, it's actually an unprocessed and high quality fry.
What's the most popular loaded potato that there is on the menu?
Yeah, so the most popular here in Canada is poutine, which is cheese curds from Quebec with gravy. And in the U.S., so far our most popular has been the spicy ones. So certainly cheese and bacon and jalapenos have been some of the most popular ones. But the exciting thing about it is, we have different depending on where in the country you are, there's it allows for different toppings. So the core of the product is a hot dog and a fry,
Mm-hmm.
and then depending on the region, we're able to change and modify some of those toppings so they better fit the specific region. So our hot dog in Canada is different than our hot dog in the U.S. The U.S. it's an Angus hot dog, all beef, or in Canada it's a different blend. So we're able to modify and tweak a little bit as we go, depending on the requirements or the need of the local consumer.
Okay. Are there any non-traditional venue locations like arenas or stadiums?
Yeah, we've had a few of those locations over the years. We have there's a big theme park here, Canada's Wonderland, as well as theaters and places like that. The place that we've always thrived the best, though, is where you have that consistent year-round traffic
Sure.
of malls, and so that's kind of where the core product is it's really around sort of those high foot traffic areas.
What does marketing even look like for you guys aside from just being there at being at the mall or being at a location?
Yeah, it's a great question. The marketing is the location, right? So typically malls are high rents, and what's great about New York Fries, and it's the reason we have 19 brands here at Recipe, that New York Fries is really the tip of the spear for us as we look at global expansion, is that it has a really advantaged economic model.
Mm-hmm.
In that the food cost is low, the labor cost is low. We operate typically at I'm going to say 350 to 400 square feet is the sweet spot of space. We can go as small as 250 square feet. So it's really about getting into those high foot traffic areas and then having a small box that allows you to pay those high rents.
Mm-hmm.
So our ad fund, we only charge 2%. In Canada, because we have so much scale, we actually do run TV ads and we have a whole great campaign. But really, the core marketing is the site. And then the thing that really built the brand over time has been just sampling. When people try a fry, the little hit of salt and fry, it's totally addictive. And people come back and they get themselves a nice loaded fry or a regular order of fries with a hot dog.
Look at the smile on your face. You're like, it's addictive. And all of a sudden you just light up.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, it's like that. I bet you can't eat just one Lay's potato chip,
Yeah.
right? So it's like you have a few fries, and you're like, man, that's good. And you got to go back, and you realize how high quality and how great it is.
Sure. As the president, what are some of the challenges that you have with having so many corporate locations and franchise locations just in Canada?
I mean, it's a very, very good team. We do focus on operations, so we have a full operations team that are out visiting sites, as well as we invest in food safety audits, as well as secret shoppers to help our franchisees. And really, it's about working collaboratively with whether it's our GMs or our franchisees to build the business. So lots of meetings with our franchise group, lots of reviews of plans and making sure we have it right, testing. We make sure before we put anything in the market, we test things, we get it right. And it's really, really big focus on operations. And, Craig, who's our COO, has been in the business 35 years. I always joke that he could feel in his right knee if, the temperature of a fryer is off in Saskatoon. And so we definitely, it's all about the operations, it's all about the guest experience. And it's really everything that the team does is really, really focuses on that and making sure as they deliver. And what that has created is a great culture across the brand, as well as just this constant SRS growth. And, because we work across a couple different brands, and whether you see QSR, McDonald's, Wendy's, whatever, they're always having to bring new news to the market to try to get people to pull off the road. Where New York Fries, the mall is the one that really generates the traffic. And so for New York Fries, it's all about consistency and all about quality. So we're not constantly creating innovation that sort of messes up operations, or you're constantly training people. It's really about training people to deliver this amazing fry every single time. And that's what keeps people coming back.
Sure. What's the investment range on a US based franchise?
Will depend on the region and the cost. It's really the cost to build the location.
Mm-hmm.
So, the perfect situation is, in a food court, you would take over someone else's space and you wouldn't have to modify it that much. Or it's in shell condition and build it accordingly. So, we're just working through build costs, and it depends whether you're in Florida for non-union versus Long Island with Union,
Mm-hmm.
the range changes, but it's somewhere between sort of that 500 to 750 range to build it kind of from shell condition.
I'm curious, David, if somebody would be looking to invest in a franchise, and obviously you guys have had tremendous success for a long time. What comes to my mind is one of the challenges is that, we do have malls that are dying in the United States. And how do you guys properly, steer that franchise location in the right mall and knowing what mall is thriving and, what malls to avoid?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's no question that, with the onslaught of e-commerce and COVID that, everyone thought malls were going to die. And what's actually great is they haven't died, that they're becoming entertainment hubs.
Right.
And, certainly A and AAA malls are, they're growing traffic significantly. And a lot of retailers are becoming more showcases, and it's about entertainment. And, the ultimate one is if you're from New York, if you ever get to go to American Dream, bring your running shoes and like 3 days worth of energy to tour that one. But it certainly is. So malls are not dying, which is great. There are some C and D malls that are struggling, but we have traffic numbers for all the malls. We're very targeted to make sure we're going into AAA centers that there's lots of growth and lots of potential in, and the size of the space, the rent, all of that is commensurate to the traffic. So you do pay accordingly because we're in almost every mall in Canada. We're in some AAA malls, but we're also in some B and C malls. But we still work in those B and C malls because of our smaller box, our footprint, our low food cost, and our low labor costs. That allows us to really thrive in that environment.
Sure. So you guys are coming to New York and New Jersey first. And makes sense. Are you guys looking to expand regionally in the U.S. initially, or is this going to be a shotgun approach and go to the best possible malls throughout the United States?
Yeah, so it's certainly regionally is the short-term focus. We're open to having the right partners find us the right work with us. But right now, the East Coast, I would say, is really the main focus from kind of New York down, through Maryland down to Florida. As well as open to the Midwest. And really what we're looking for is the right partners, people that understand the space, understand malls, people that may already have experience with snack brands that operate in malls. And so that's kind of our focus right now, is really sort of that area. The West Coast, I'd say we're open to, but not actively, we won't be actively marketing in that area, at least in the short term.
Do you see this more as a multi-unit operator play where they're operating some other brands and adding on New York Fries to their portfolio?
Yeah, I think we're open to that as well as open to them owning certain regions as well. So yeah, we're probably open to both situations, and I think there's quite a few people that operate. Well, we know there's quite a few large franchisees that operate in malls, and they may want another brand within their portfolio, and they already have their ops team managing those mall centers. So it provides good synergy for them.
Cool. What does training look like?
So we usually it's about a 4 to 5 week program where people come in and they learn kind of from top to bottom, running a New York Fries. We also have an online training system that we work with, as well as obviously our ops field team is out there working with our franchisees and our teams to make sure that they're well trained and certified and ready to rock every day.
So when they get through training, the build out time obviously varies depending on where the location is. What is your target to try to get somebody up and running?
I mean, there's obviously all the franchising paperwork. It always seems to take a lot longer from the time you get the site to the time you build it. To the positive is, the location we'll be looking at are malls, walking malls, those type of stuff. So the infrastructure is set up in those places in terms of venting and whatnot. So, usually it's a 90-day fixturing period, and just the time that it's going to take to get the lease and the franchising documents done, is probably usually another sort of, depends on the situation. If it's a existing multi-unit franchisee that's looking to expand, or a new franchisee, and just going through that process.
Sure. Well, and franchisee success varies from, unit to unit. It's not necessarily the location, either, but is there something you would say is a trait that you found of all of your Canadian franchises of what makes somebody the most successful?
Yeah, I think, I think it's anything with anything in life, people that are passionate people that care. You can always tell those engaged operators, they know what's going on in their restaurants. Even if they're not there every day, they have great teams in the restaurants that they've incented properly. And really it's about, the love of the brand. And, it's a high margin model. And if you can, really make it hunt, it's a really great opportunity. And, we always joke internally here that, don't ever get fired. Just don't give me a severance package. Just let me have one New York fries to go off into the sunset with. So it's really about, I'd say the passion for delivering a high quality product. We are, New York Fries is a premium brand. We do charge a premium for fresh cut fries. It's a premium quality product, and we don't discount. It's really all about that, selling a premium product and making sure you deliver on that every day, right? And there's great brands in the market that have been able to do that, like Chipotle and Starbucks, and we're in that ilk here in Canada, and it's about building that. And we look at, I literally review and read every consumer review every morning, and so does the team. So we're laser focused on that guest experience.
Right, Dave. I think you mentioned earlier you've been in franchising, or at least you've been the president now for 3 years of this division.
Yeah, I've been with Recipe for 11 years, but about 3-4 years as the president of this division. Yeah.
So how did you get started?
Spent most of my time at PepsiCo Foods, so kind of a marketing sales background, and then did an entrepreneurial stint. Really learned about being an entrepreneur with a kind of small organization.
Okay.
And then got a call to come to come to Recipe. About 11 years ago, and it was kind of a great blend of entrepreneurialism and kind of corporate, and then working with entrepreneurs, which I really enjoy, and because I just think that they're some of the most passionate, great people to work with, and took the job and have been here ever since. And so it's been a great run, and learned a lot along the way, and certainly had a lot of fun as well. It's a great business, the restaurant business. It's a hard business, but it's a great business, very rewarding, where you're direct to consumer. You get to read the reviews in the morning, and you do something great, and you hear about it. You do something not so great, you hear about it as well. But it's direct feedback, which is exciting and fun.
You have to have thick skin, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, thick skin for sure. And I think I always, it's always that, make sure you've got you really test things. But I'm a big believer, and I'd rather have a B plan with an A execution than an A plan with a C execution.
There you go.
So yeah, very much focused on just making sure that what we put out in the stores is great, and guests love what we have.
Yeah. So since you've been involved in the franchising side of things, what's been maybe one of the biggest, 1 or 2 surprises that you've come across?
I don't know if it's so much surprises, but I would say that, the passion of entrepreneurs always amazes me, and their resilience always amazes me. That's one of the things that keeps me loving this job and loving what I do is working with franchisees. And, sometimes the passion boils over, and sometimes you got to work through that. But, it's certainly, they're our customer. That's how I think about it is they're our customer. And if you have happy franchisees, they want to buy more restaurants. They want to be more successful. They want to invest in their business. So, the wake up every morning thinking about franchisee happiness and franchisee profitability. And if you can drive those 2 things, typically you have a very successful business, because the investments are made in their teams and their people. And you work together on building the right plans and the right tools, and you have success together, and it's a lot of fun when that happens.
Sure. Well, it's a testament to the brand when franchisees, of course, want more locations, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What does your brand look like in terms of the number of franchises or percentage of franchises that do own multiple locations?
Almost all of them have multiple locations.
Wow.
Yeah. So 1 to 2. So you don't see too many just one-offs. A few, but the majority of them are. We don't have large franchise. We don't have super large franchisees that own 30, 40, but it's certainly the majority of them own a few, and they're always looking for more. So. Just that we have no more malls to give out. That's the challenge, which is,
right.
We've opened up there's some new outdoor malls here and whatnot. But if we had more, certainly if there was more viable malls, we'd have a lot more people lined up for those locations.
Are you pretty much sold out in Canada?
Completely sold out.
Completely sold out. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you guys given great thought into like, how many locations you anticipate in the United States and like kind of a vision for how long it'll take for you guys to get to a target?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly have a vision. So, I mean, in Canada, we have 115 locations, and we're almost about $120 million business,
Mm-hmm.
right? And everything in Canada and the U.S., I've been lucky enough to work on global businesses, and everything is always a 10-to-1, no matter
Mm-hmm.
how you slice it. The population, sizes of businesses, whatever it may be, and so we really believe that New York Fries has the opportunity to have more than 1,000 locations in the U.S. and be $1 billion business. But we want to get there, but we also recognize that we want to get there judiciously and not just
Sure.
open sites for the sake of it and give out ADAs. And we really believe that the reason why we're investing in the corporate locations and investing in we're actually building. We believe that to run the United States properly, it has to be run by Americans, not by Canadians from Toronto. So we're building the team in the U.S. We have a marketing and ops leader. We're just hiring a development lead. We're working with some great agencies in the U.S. as well to help us build the business. And really, we believe it's going to take time, and we want to find the right partners because we know that when done well, people come back and they keep eating the product, and it's just year over year growth whenever you do it the right way. So we want to do it the right way and not get too many people doing all sorts of funny deals that there's not enough. In the restaurant business is thin margin business. Four
Sure.
people can't eat at the table. Two people can eat at the table, but not four. So
Right.
So I want to make sure we do it the right way with the right partners.
And you've got 4 company-owned locations in the U.S., right?
Correct.
Do you anticipate opening more corporately owned locations with franchising, or is that about it for you guys on the corporate
Well,
side?
I think we're starting at 4, and I think that's a good start to have a base and get a sense of the different, because we do have Roosevelt and Smith Haven, as are different level malls, so it gives us a good sense of sort of the different malls and the volumes we can expect, which is why we did it this way.
Mm-hmm.
The plan would be to be primarily franchised from there, but we want to do the right thing for the business and grow it accordingly. So right now, really looking for the right franchise partners, primarily along the east coast of the U.S. is kind of down to from Florida, kind of on the way up to New York.
Any significant changes besides like the toppings, for example, between the U.S. and the Canadian-based franchise locations?
Not really. The hot dog is different. So prior to launching, we did a lot of research in the U.S. We did a whole New York hot dog tour where I think I ate every hot dog in New York, which was an amazing tour. I didn't see my doctor for a couple of weeks after that, though, just to make sure everything was okay. But so we have an all beef Angus hot dog, which is a really high quality hot dog. It's different than the hot dog in Canada, which is a little bit different of a kind of flavor profile.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about, apart from that, they're pretty similar. So the fresh cut fry is a ubiquitous product, and it's been something that was how fries were done before they were manufactured with coatings and all that kind of stuff that you try now and eat today in QSR. But a fresh cut fry is a fantastic product, and it's a natural product that's been around forever. So and it's global, right? So I mean, we've had New York Fries in the Middle East for over 20 years, New York Fries location. So we know it's a great global appealing brand. So
that's awesome. People that are looking to invest in the franchise, and you've had so much experience, of course, in Canada, here coming to the U.S., obviously it's brand new or re-emerging here in the U.S. What's maybe some advice that you give to folks that are doing their due diligence when you want them to do their research? What are some of the things that you want them to look out for?
First and foremost, I would suggest they talk to our franchisees in Canada, right? Because I mean, there's always a salesperson who can give you a pitch, but I think franchisee to franchisee people speak pretty honestly.
Right.
So you could almost talk to any franchisee in Canada and hear the truth about the team and hear the truth about the brand and the margins and all those pieces. So that would be that side of it. So that would be my number one piece of advice. And then I also say do the diligence on us as an organization and the team. I think the way that we're structured is we are owned as this company called Recipe that has 19 brands from high-end steak restaurants like the Keg to New York Fries, but we really put a focus on, we have a chief operating officer, so Craig is our chief operating officer on New York Fries, on every business, because we want each brand to have its own culture and really focus on that brand. We don't want brand blend, and we really want each brand to live on its own and compete on its own. I think they would be very impressed with the team. The team has tons of tenure. and tons of success over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side of it is just, doing the diligence on the malls. So, I mean, certainly if you read the articles, e-commerce has taken over and malls are dead, but that's actually not the case at all, right? And so if you go to the malls and actually speak to the property managers, they're investing heavily in all the malls to bring entertainment. They're building tons of density around malls as well. There's condos and all sorts of things going up around all malls, and they're really, really building. The landlords are very sophisticated and are really building entertainment hubs. And, that's the future of malls, more so than, I think people may read about in the Wall Street Journal or wherever else they get their news.
I think what you said is key. It's the reinvention or the reimagining of a mall, where it's being this entertainment hub. It used to be where you could just go to a mall and you're there all day on a Saturday, but now it's what else can I do while I'm there? I'm being entertained or, having fun, activities. That's put pressure on the malls to get better. They can't just be the way they were in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, 100%. And they have, right? Like if you go to the mall, I walked a lot of malls in Long Island and New Jersey, and they are busy. Like there's a lot of people at these malls, and the retailers are becoming more and more sophisticated, building experiences, showcasing, and then people may shop online. Or you look at the Apple Store is a great example of that, right? If the number one tech company of the world does the majority of their commerce through malls. So I think that's kind of a telling situation right there. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, here in the Tampa Bay area, I could think of 3 malls, 2 of which are extremely busy because they're doing it right. And one of them is on its at death's doorstep, but it's going to be reimagined with work, live, play, a whole new experience. And that's how they're going to survive or they're going to actually create a whole new life, I should say, as a result of that whole new development that's going to be going on here.
Yeah. And the big retailers are very sophisticated, right? Like Dick's is building field houses where they're building actual fields for families to come. And then they by the way, while you're here, go shopping. And so, so it's certainly, there's no question that, the future of malls remains very, very bright.
Yeah. So when you're developing these locations or you're selling these locations, are you guys proponents of using like outside broker groups to help for lead generation and franchise sales?
Yeah. So, we're working with All Points right now as our PR agency helping us.
Okay.
We are, we do believe in internal teams as well. So we will have we've been doing a little bit out of kind of as a side hustle with our real estate and franchising team here in Canada, but we are in the process of hiring a head of development for the U.S. It's an American based out of the U.S. So the plan will be, really to lead that internally with the support of, a PR agency to help build the buzz. But, I was just down at the multi-unit franchise show in Vegas, working the floor myself. So, so certainly, it's a hands-on approach, and we want to be working and dealing directly with potential franchisees versus going through a broker.
Fair enough. All right. Well, cool. Well, Dave, hey, if someone was interested in learning more about New York Fries, where can they go to get more information?
Certainly, we have lots of websites. You can go to NewYorkFries.com, so NewYorkFriesUS.com. Lots of information there, contact information. Reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. However, Craig Burt is the Chief Operating Officer of the business, but All Points as well. So lots of opportunity, but certainly you can find us on the web and lots of ways to reach us through our website.
Sweet. All right. Well, hey, I finish every show with the tip jar because the franchise community is just so generous with sharing information. So can you maybe give maybe a tip or trick or a piece of advice if someone was going to go into franchising? If I was going to franchise my company, is there maybe a piece of advice that you'd give me before I franchise my company?
I'm a huge believer in partnership, right? And that, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? So first listen and understand, but if you're working closely with your franchisees and think of them as your customer and think about their profitability, that will always pay off in dividends. In my 11 years, I've seen lots of people have corporate careers in franchising. If you're fighting with franchisees, you never last too long in the restaurant business. And so, you need to listen, you need to set vision, but it's also working collaboratively. And really it's about building that relationship and making them as profitable as possible and focusing on them as your customers. And then I think if you have a franchise network, so for us, the first thing I say to any prospective franchisees is, don't listen to me, the sales guy, listen to our franchisees. And here's 15 to 20 franchisees you can talk to directly. Call any of them; they'll happily talk to you, and you're welcome to talk to anyone in the system, and get the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think if you can honestly look someone in the eye and say you could talk to any of our franchisees, and then you've got something pretty good going for you.
Nice, great advice. Well, Dave, it was great chatting with you here today. I'm looking forward to testing out New York fries myself next time I'm up in New York. And thanks again for being on the show. I appreciate it. Great job.
Yeah, really, really, really nice to meet you, and have a fantastic day.
Thank you. You too. Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.